Why on earth, logically speaking, intellectually speaking, would I live for only this world and care so much about amassing great fortune and all this crap that goes with all the accoutrements of great wealth? Okay, the power, the control, you name it, right? The obvious solution to everything, as King Solomon pointed out. Okay, you say, why do that? Okay, we all see the benefits. We can all say, yeah, I get it. I get why people love money. Yeah, well, we all get that, right? Who in the right mind doesn't love money? Confess it, admit it. Whatever you believe about it, maybe it's your God. Maybe you outright worship it. And that's it. That's that. End of the story. I don't care. I'm agnostic. See the dangers of being agnostic, being lukewarm? Read Revelation where it talks about how God spews these people out of his mouth. These are the people I'm trying to reach. That might be lukewarm. Okay, that might be on the fence, agnostic about having a little bit of faith. I mean, just be logical, for crying out loud. A child can be convinced of the possibility that yeah, you know what? If you look at nature, you look that stuff doesn't tend to get more organized for no reason. There's always thought behind all the innovation of humanity. There's always been thought. That was the first step to making it manifest. Well, who gave us the ability to think? How on earth could that have evolved by itself? Okay, from some primordial muck. Why would the primordial muck climb out of the sea? There's thought involved here. There's an invisible cosmic energy. Okay, that's life, that life force. Why do we feel love? Why do we love love? Why do we, you understand, these invisible things are super powerful. Super powerful. We know that they are, even scientifically speaking. We know that invisible things are very powerful indeed. So how much of a leap, how much of a stretch is it to believe that there is this God, the Spirit of God out there, that we all have equal access to? We're all being loved, that we are his greatest value. We're priceless treasure to God. He wants every soul. That's what it's all about. That's what's coming, is the harvest of the souls of men. And we can ready ourselves with little tiny window of opportunity we all have to get it together and figure out what's going on here. You understand, the captives must and will be set free. That's the way, the whole story about oppression through the ages, slavery, enslavement, enchainment, and the cost of living. Sounds so innocuous, doesn't it? It isn't. Okay, it's pernicious. It's diabolical. It was an invention of men. This is the source of all the artificial suffering on earth. Okay, it's all about the money, how it has influenced the hearts and minds of men. Obviously, if you've got those kind of people in the mix, they're going to always run the show because they're willing to trade their conscience. Do you understand? That's their very soul. They're ready to change, okay, to trade, because the love of money is so powerful in their heart and mind and spirit, soul. That's all they want. Okay, so they have an advantage temporarily because they're willing to do anything. That no holds barred. Okay, whatever it takes to stay on top. Murder, genocide, they don't care. Do you understand? It's just that important to them. So how do normal people wrap their mind around that? To some degree, we have to. It's like Christ said, "Be as shrewd as serpents, innocent as doves." It's unfortunate, very painful, very difficult to get into the minds of evildoers, but it's something that detectives out there do all the time. They got to see, well, cui bono, who has a benefit, who's gonna benefit from this thing? Okay, what's the rhyme? What's the reason? Okay, follow the money. Almost always, you can follow the money. It's a big problem, big problem. Big problem. And evidently, just through the overwhelming empirical evidence through the age, okay, through the ages, whatever how 1,000-year period, millennium, okay, after millennium, these people have ruled over us. And God is about up to here. God knows what he's busy doing here and there and all over the galaxy and the universe. He's got other stuff going on, okay, so it's not like he's idle. He's not, and he's not like he's a paper tiger either, although you'd think so. Looking at things, well, God lets his servants be bullied around, the saints be slaughtered, and he lets these evildoers rule over men. This all goes back to the original sin, the fall of man, and this great power that the evil got. why it hates all of us. We're made in the image and likeness of God. So when he can make our lives miserable, okay, it's like putting a feather in his cap, notch in his belt. For every one of us that he's dragging down to Hades with him. He wants us down there. And you don't want to be down there. Okay, that is to be avoided at all costs. And if you're lukewarm and you get spit out of his mouth, where do you think you go? It's like a gardener pulling weeds. He might say, well, is it a weed or not? And then you know what? He's got to decide, and that's it. You're a weed. You're a weed. You didn't make it. You're not a cultivar. I'm not saving you for the garden. Okay, that's it. You're going. You're lukewarm. You did not make the grade. There's too many other beautiful plants here. Okay, and you're going to be down here with the really really noxious weeds. Okay, and there's some nasty ass weeds. Let me tell you, as a landscaper myself, I know some badass weeds out there. I mean, there's some little flat weeds I've seen. These things soon after they start sprouting. I mean, they're just really quick, but they get these little balls of really hardened thorns very soon after they hatch. Basically after they sprout, after they germinate, they grow super rapidly a certain time of year, and they're flat weeds, and they look similar to another one, so they kind of conceal themselves, camouflage themselves with other weeds. But they, man, oh man, they're the worst. And you got to be real tricky with a bare hand. You got to, because they'll get a taproot really quick too. But you got to reach under them, and you got to very gingerly grab that thing by the root and yank it up, because it's bad. I mean, those seeds start falling off soon, and they're the worst thing in the world. If you're trying to weed a garden and you run across those things, man, you're pissed, okay, because you're thinking this is evil. Kind of like these murder hornets out there. I mean, what the hell? What kind of a name is that to give a hornet? But that's what they are. These are insects from hell. Okay, Twitter's got a great video, because I googled this morning. I googled predators of these murder hornets, and it showed a praying mantis. Oh, great! You got to watch that video. But I mean, this praying mantis just holds them at bay. You can see that murder hornet desperately trying to sting that praying mantis, but the praying mantis has the strength to hold him down, and while he eats out his head, they show him it's not even a minute video, but he just devours the head of this thing. And the praying mantis would probably be happy going after something else, for food. He's got plenty of stuff to choose from, right? But yeah, you know what? Kill this thing. So it's like God made the praying mantis and Satan made the hornet. That's the way I see it. I don't see that everything is symbiotic in our environment. It's not necessary. People would say, oh, without the mosquitoes, the bats would die. But, it's sacrifice that some people get, encephalitis, and they died in West Nile from. It's okay. That's, the cost of doing business, right? Collateral damage, that sort of attitude. Anyhow, the point is, I digress. But listen, the garden of God is going to get weeded. And all the people that call themselves believers, and I'm thinking Christians with their Lord's Prayer, and they're saying, may God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Well, we need to ask ourselves, how is God's will being done in heaven? Is it not perfect? Who would argue? It's got to be perfect. Of course, that's a perfect place. Is it not ideal? Of course, ideal, perfect. I mean, the same kind of word, right? It's a synonym. So yes, it's good and proper to think idealistic. Think of solutions. Run into a problem, and then say, God, this is a problem. I can't imagine how this or that would work. I mean, isn't the earth getting overpopulated? Isn't that a problem? So let's confront it. Let's have the discussion. Let's have the conversation. And into that conversation about human activity and human overpopulation destroying the earth, we absolutely must inject this reality that we're facing. It's a term known as disruptive technology. Okay, in other words, if there was a contraption you could stick under your hood, easily convert your engine from gasoline to hydrogen on demand, and you could just stick water in your gas tank and get 100 miles to 1 gallon of water. Okay, environmentally sound. It's inexhaustible. I mean, it's very little water too. Less water than you drink every day, right? Something like that. To go 100 miles, and how many people drive 100 miles every day? Some do. Some are going to drive more than others, but it just goes up in vapor, it goes up in the clouds, it comes down in rain, so it recycles, and Mother Nature would recycle it. And it's not like driving around with a bomb in your car, because it's not going to, you don't have it enclosed in an area, and it can't, so it's just on demand hydrogen. So it's just as you need it. There's nothing to explode except what's being exploded in the engine. But you understand, that's not exactly music to the ears of the oil companies, and that's what it's disruptive to, the profits. So just imagine any problem that bugs you. Okay, and there are some ones that I need to scratch my head over. But right away I think of solutions. Okay, there are solutions. You have a God-given imagination. There's a power to think. And I strongly suggest you use it. And use it first and foremost for your own salvation. Say, I want to know for sure, God, I am your friend. I want to be on the right side of history. I want to be found worthy and deserving of inheriting a better world. Okay, I don't want to live in this crap hole forever. I get it, live and let die. I mean, but there's a lot of stuff I don't like, and I want you to, help me with these things. There's a lot of organic things I don't like. And first and foremost, at the top of that list is death. I do not like death. Since I was a little kid, I don't like death. What's that? What do you mean? It's so this great gift of existence, life that God gave me, this God you keep touting, okay, all powerful, loving God. You hear from your parents at an early age and other people, he's going to let me die. Well, I mean, you start, your faith is shaken at a very young age. So that's why you've got to keep a relationship intact, very personal. Nobody can save us from the grave except God. Death is swallowed up in victory. Jesus proved it over and over and over. God has the last say on this thing. And that, my friends, is a beautiful thing. That is a big part of preaching the good news. That's why the Bible is called the gospel, and which translates to good news. Do you understand? It's good news for all of us. There's nothing objectionable. There's nothing pejorative, religious. Forget that. That's for the birds, man. They try to pin that on Jesus because they were going, these authoritarians back in the day were doing everything under the pretext of being religious. The religious and legal authorities of the land. You understand? That's how these people are. They're sick and twisted, man. These are the top money lovers. That's how they maintain power. Controlling the people. You need me. You need to pay your tithe to me. That's 10% of your income. So yeah, there was a lot of incentive for some evil people under the guise of being religious to do some god-awful things to the public. Killing, murdering, you understand? That's what went on. That's our history. So it's easy to understand how people get turned off religion. And God knows, and it ticks him off. And he's getting ready to put his foot down. You understand? That's what's happening here. If you read in the book of Revelation, it talks about this cup, this metaphorical cup, he's filling with the fury of his righteous indignation. And I really believe it's been bubbling over for some time to those that have been paying attention. I mean, how can it not be? Okay, the evildoers they're out of control, man. These people are drunk, power-drunken freaks, drunk on the blood of saints. That's what's going on. They're out of control. And if human beings can't do the job, and that's it. I mean, we've got to all step up to the plate, speak truth to power. We can't be cowards. We've got to unify. Okay? That's it. We must unify. We must unify and understand we're being divided on purpose. These people think they're smarter because they're more evil and they're more diabolical. They think because they got great college and university educations with all the acronyms behind their name and they're in these high positions, that gives them some kind of a waiver on accountability. That's how they're behaving. But no, they're going to be held accountable. They're noxious ass weeds in God's garden. Okay? God is not going to tolerate the decent people being bullied around in perpetuity by these kind of evil people, these elitist type. The turds in our punch bowl of joy. That's who the elitists are. And they're in the Congress and they're in the Senate. Not all of them, but the vast majority of them. The kind that voted to give the bailout to the criminal banksters in 2008, who deliberately caused the blowout of our economic pipes, debased our money, And then we got the mainstream media trained to tell everybody that's a good thing. Hey, the value of your house was retained. Could you imagine if we didn't bail out the banksters? You think you saw a market correction in 2008? Oh, if we didn't bail out those criminal banksters, those too big to fail, those too big to jail. Oh, you idiot. Even though I'm 10% of the American public with my opinion, I'm smarter. I got the acronyms behind my name. I got a Harvard degree. I got a PhD. I got a master's. I'm the uber educated class. You get the money printers in there too. This perpetual, what do you call them? The aristocratic type, right? The same caliber. I mean, they hand it down to their perverted offspring. And how does this thing continue?